Azfkqna outsider trading Q&A. Yeah. Is working on outsider trading your dream or nightmare? Yes. Do Lovecraft and Azfkqna know each other, or was he another one of Azfkqna's attempts to manipulate the larger population as possession or alter ego? Since both humans and the fourth dimensional being share a knowledge of Lovecraftian mythology. So, Lovecraft just got it right. He saw Az probably did something spooky-ooky, and he went 100% fucking insane and got it right. Az, would you top or bottom Volt? I don't think that's my choice, man. I think you know what's going on. What's Az's body count? And I mean it both ways. I would say both are around infinity. Does Amoeba ever get sick from too much cocaine waffles, or are they immune to overdose? I mean, look, I haven't seen the little guy get sick of it yet. I don't think he ever will. Should the currency be called Tesser? I actually might make a joke where we just never name the currency and we leave it vague. I think that's really funny, and I think the ways that we've had to work around it in writing have led it to be funny, so I think we're just gonna keep doing it. Does Amoeba know how they were created? I mean, like, any baby is vaguely aware once it realizes what a sperm and egg is, what went down, so like, he understands his own biology, if that's the question. He does not know every single specific for why he was created, but he has an idea. He has some context clues. Where do you live? Man, are any of us really living anymore? How would you look if you had two eyes? Like a horrible monstrosity. I can't imagine anything so ugly. Can you shapeshift a part of yourself into food and eat it without pain or consequences? I mean, yeah, I could. I guess the consequence of that would be Omniscia would probably just call me an idiot. If Volt was shot in her origin comic, wouldn't she have holes in the glow-in-the-dark skin tattoos? That's actually a very good point. My headcanon for those tattoos are they are not actually like tattoo ink. They are a little bit different sci-fi goofball crap that would slightly change that, but that's going to come in some point in the series or comics, so I don't want to spoil that here. How do Ouroboros, you know, reproduce? Is it like asexual reproduction or what? We actually made a video about this. They can asexually reproduce. They also can sexually reproduce. And they tend to eat their reproductive partners, and they tend to eat their offspring, or their offspring tend to eat them. You know, like spiders or hamsters. Is Graves partially inspired by Grunkle Stan? Yes, at least in the voice and in the kind of like the cheesy, scammy kind of vibe. The difference between Graves and Grunkle Stan is Grunkle Stan loves his family. Az, did you have any hand in horrifically bad events in human history to either brute force progression or make it look less insider trading by making misfortunes like climate change happen? Allegedly, depending on who you ask. It's not like I did 9/11 or anything. That would be crazy. Would the eye color of an Ouroboros be basically their equivalent of hair color? If so, would there be special dyeing products to change their eye color? So eye color is actually a little bit different. It's one of the only things that, with some exception, seems to be pretty standard about Ouroboros. They all have them. They don't always all have one, but they all have them. And usually the eye color is not something super easily changed. It can be temporarily changed via bioshifting, but in their pure state, the eye color seems to be the one thing that sticks with them. Gun? Yes, please. Does Volt actually hate Az? That's complicated. I mean, yes, 100%, but it's also like Volt is a monster fucker through and through. Volt feels so strongly about Az because, well, she feels so strongly about Az and she does not like that. She definitely hates him, but you know, hate is very close to another emotion that she's not ready to fully accept. If Az's species only reproduce in moments of death, what nearly killed him to make him have amoeba, and why didn't he, I'm guessing that's saying, immediately eat Az as he was passed out drunk? So they don't only reproduce in moments of death. I am actually going to get into what nearly killed him in the series, and he didn't immediately eat Az because there was another case of spawn that doesn't actually do that, described earlier. Smash or pass Zarbomba. Wait, let me Google this real quick. Zarbomba. Are you talking about the thermonuclear bomb? Or is there like a woman? I'm getting ads for a watch? I don't know, man. Smash, fuck it. Can I borrow some money or something? Fuck, man. I spend all my money on cartoons. You think I have money? Why exactly do you think the Wendigo was able to hurt Amoeba? And how does that affect how you see your own mortality? You know, that thing was 4D, and I didn't think that 4D beings could be on Earth, but I guess they can. So there we go. How actually does the market of the species, like humans, work when they find out they're considered property? Do they have to buy themselves? I mean, if they can buy themselves, they could buy themselves out if their owner wanted to give them that opportunity. It's a little bit like the rules have already been made around them, and they don't really get to participate in any of the events. The system was already constructed, and they're already a piece in it. If somehow they got, like, enough, like, units of currency to buy themselves out, possibly from another species, they could do it. Chances are the situation doesn't resolve that cleanly, because the situation wasn't that clean to begin with. Can a species be claimed as an experiment species and be tampered with but not sold? Yes, completely different thing. Asset species can actually be reclassified as that kind of thing, but then you can't make a profit off of them. That's what the Schlemanites are. The Graves couldn't make a profit anymore, reclassified them into a servant species. If a different 4D being enters your asset species universe, does it count as insider trading? Entering it? No. Tampering with it in any way? Yes. Okay, let's say that my best friend works for, I don't know, evil company, BlackRock. I go in there and I just have lunch with him and I own some shares of the company. That's not an issue. Let's say I go in and I see that BlackRock's about to sell a bunch of shit that'll make the stock price go down, and then I sell right after that lunch. That is insider trading. In the same sense, let's say Omniscia goes to Earth, right? And Omniscia just stands there and looks at some people. That's not illegal. But if Omniscia goes to Earth and, let's say, gives someone technology or gives someone information, that would be insider trading. Is Volt the baddest character, and is Az the highest tier of bioshifting, peak shifter, or just really good? I mean, the first question, that's a matter of opinion to you. But for the second question, Omniscia could body him. Omniscia could just absolutely body him, but she thinks he's a cute little dog, so she's not going to do that. She has no reason to right now. Does Omniscia go on dates with Az? And if so, does she prefer steak or pasta? Will probably eat everything in the kitchen, but do it very daintily and ladylike. And she takes Az on dates. He's basically like her cat. Can I get twaded in, putty please? I don't know. How stupid are you? I mean, you're asking to get traded. You know, yeah, we can do it. Ouroboros dance. Why are you evading your multidimensional taxes? Who the fuck likes paying taxes? What to do if my lizard ate plutonium and somehow did not die? How to get rid of the problem without killing him? I'm not a doctor, but I don't know if a doctor is qualified to answer that either. What's amoeba's species' scientific name? They have one name, a mononym. Ouroboros. They don't abide by the same species classification as Earth. Why are you gay? I don't know, man. Why is anyone anything? Do fourth dimensional beings have religion? Yes, Ouroboros seem to be for the most part agnostic, but there are certain sections of fourth dimensional beings with religions. What is amoeba? Amoeba's an Ouroboros. From the perspective of a 4D being, what does time look like? Is it simultaneous or a line? Yes. Is he from 1000 BC? Way before that. Can I marry Omniscia? At your own risk. Do the Ouroboros have a concept of religion in their own spaces, or do they purely get their concepts of religion from other asset species? So many asset species look at Ouroboros as some sort of religious figures, as they don't really explain themselves, so they're left to draw their own conclusions. But Ouroboros, there are religions in the 4D world. Some Ouroboros do gravitate towards them. However, largely agnostic species. They are very individualistic. They don't really look for answers, they look for what they can take. Out of everything Azfkqna's tried, whose was the best? You know what I mean. Nothing beats Omniscia. What is another major fourth dimensional species after Ouroboros? There's a lot of them. We have the Cthulhuoids, which are all those squid face people. We have the Greys, which is Linus Grisio and any other gray alien you might see. We have the various cyborgs that are kind of ominous and when no one knows what they're doing. We don't gotta worry about that. When are we getting more Graves? Episode 4. He has a very prominent scene in episode 4 that I think it would be just amazing. How many amoebas would it take to kill Graves? Honestly, when he was first born, probably a couple, but shit, man, kid's been working. I would say just one. How do I activate my portal to the fourth dimension? I'm getting pretty close to opening it. Look, man, I don't know what that guy told you, but put your asshole away, all right? That's not a portal to the fourth dimension. I don't think that guy's your friend. How much does Azfkqna know about humanity's history? Does he have a current historical human figure in outsider trading canon that he likes the most? Besides AZJFK. Does he have one that he hates? I would say he's not a fan of Hitler. I can pretty confidently say that. Az probably knows as much about humanity as like a night that you go out drinking and you don't completely black out, but like you just remember bits and pieces, you know? Like he blacked out during the bubonic plague and then he kind of came to wandering the Renaissance. That kind of vibe. I have a little side story that Az and Mozart got along incredibly well while he was still alive, and then Az got real sad when he died. But that's just because of the shit fetish. I saw this comment somewhere else, but here's the summary. If you could graph out Azfkqna Azfkqna's intelligence, where would it land? Also, can you compare it with other 4D characters? I would say he's about on par with Graves. I would say that Amoeba, even though he's a little bit naive, would probably be above both Az and Graves on the intelligence scale. I would say that Az is probably smarter than the BAC guards, Larry and Darren, but Volt, a 3D being, is probably much smarter than him. But Volt and Omniscia pretty close too, and both of them way above Az and Graves and the rest. What happened to Clone Volt? She died. What happens if you go into a black hole? Can you get spaghettified? Yeah, but it's kind of like one of those, sensory deprivation tanks for us. Tony just transformed into the government and then controlled it inside so he can. What? How many times did Azfkqna grow a pair of melons just to get free drinks? Whenever he saw a man that he thought it would work on. One sausage can fit in any hole, but one hole cannot fit every sausage. Not a question. Did you buy Earth or humans? Technically, they were a package deal. How much do Ouroboros change as they grow? Will Amoeba become a white eye creature like Az, or will he change entirely? How much they change is entirely dependent on the individual. How much spaghettamine have you taken? Both too much and not enough, dog. How did you inadvertently start Mormonism? Your guess is as good as mine, man. I didn't mean to do that. Why do Volt and Omniscia have the same hair? Symbolism. Has Graves ever tried BDSM? I bet, man, I bet, but I don't ever want to find out. I mean, you can look up the Rule 34 and the answer is yes, but I don't know if I consider that canon. I might. Have you yourself, or any other members of your species, ever gotten sucked into a black hole? Yeah, we mentioned this earlier. It would be kind of like a sensory deprivation tank for a little bit. Also, have you ever considered doing a video reviewing a couple TF2 horror series called Server Blight or Don't Join Team Red? I've looked into it. I don't know how much the TF2 audience crosses over with my audience, but hey, if it's a lot, I love TF2, so shoot me some comments, and if there's enough, I'll cover it. Are there higher dimensional beings that Az doesn't know about that we'll see in the series? I don't know if I'm gonna show it in the cartoon series, but there's definitely more than meets the eye. On a scale of 1 to 10, how gay would Volt be if Azfkqna became female? I feel like she'd probably still be more into Omniscia to Az's dismay, just because there's something about power. Volt's a monster fucker and she's attracted to power, so I think that Omniscia's got him beat, dude. What was the thing to rip apart the Wendigo? That was my organs. Does Az have parents? Yes, Az has progenitors. Did she actually know that because she's omniscient? It depends on which question you're asking. Are all fourth dimensional creatures immortal, or only a select few? If some aren't immortal, how long are their natural lifespans? I would say that most fourth dimensional species are functionally immortal, or they live so long that to a human timescale it would be inconceivable anyway, so just immortal. Does as a species have a really thick coating or skin-like substance around their giant eyes to defend them from being poked there, or do they just deal with the obvious weak spot, or is it like stubbing a toe? So compared to a human eye, it wouldn't really be all that weak. It's definitely weaker than the rest of their body. There's not much they can really do around the weak spot. I mean, it's kind of like saying, what if someone shot you in your brain? Like, yeah, that would suck. I would like to know the reason behind the use of multiple art styles throughout episodes. So this is a few things, but no one could actually see the fourth dimension. We are three-dimensional creatures, and we have senses meant to observe a three-dimensional world, so you couldn't really describe anything that's fourth dimensional visually. So rather than get bogged down on that, again, there's more than one reason for this, I decided that I was going to use this to my advantage rather than use it to the detriment. Are the Ouroboros just living pocket dimensions, and will we see dimensional amoeba? They are living pocket dimensions. They're not just living pocket dimensions, but that's part of what they are. And you probably will see dimensional amoeba, if not in the series and comics at least. 100 zombie-sized chickens or 10 chicken-sized zombies? 10 chickens, do I get a weapon? If I get a weapon, 10 chicken-sized zombies. If I don't get a weapon, 100 zombie-sized chickens, because you didn't specify whether they were rooster or hen. And if they're hen, I think I can intimidate them. If I have a weapon, I'm going chicken-sized zombies because I can swing real hard, and I probably wouldn't get bitten. But if I don't have a weapon, zombie-sized chickens. What is Az's and Amoeba's favorite video game? Getting back into Goat Simulator. I like Schedule 1. Reminds me of my old job. I like Minecraft. I like Call of Duty, the old ones. What are the limitations of bioshifting? Can you make anything with it? If so, what's to stop you from making a new money organ? Counterfeiting laws, first of all. Second of all, there are limits to it. There are many other forces in which a human understanding of physics and chemistry would be strained to understand the limits of bioshifting. It's like engineering, too. You need to know what you're doing or you won't build anything useful. You know, it's more of a knowledge limitation than it is a materials limitation. And there is a materials limitation, but it's like, look, I can give you all the pieces of a supercomputer, but if you're an 8-year-old, you can't do anything with that. It's kind of similar. Is LGBTQ actually a form of 4D drug? Yeah, in the 4th dimension, you can smoke gay. Most of the Ouroboros, sorry if I butchered the name, no problem, everybody spells it wrong, we've seen so far don't show their mouths and only bioshift them on their face, occasionally, i.e. Graves, whilst Az has his mouth shown constantly. Is there a reason for that? Hope you're doing well, man. Thanks. I think that Az likes to talk. He likes to talk a lot, and he likes a little bit of a jagged, crooked tooth smile to emphasize his points. He's very performative, you know, so the mouth, it works. He's a mouthy motherfucker. Graves, on the other hand, doesn't seem to care for such things nearly as much. A lot of biology in Ouroboros is usually a conscious choice, for aesthetic reasons or for something else. How long did Az work with Graves, and was it before or after the drug dealing? Bro, he was dealing drugs before and after. The only reason he's not doing it now is he doesn't need cash. What radioactive element tastes best in your opinion? Mine is plutonium. I like uranium. It is crunchy and it is green. As when we get in the Netflix password, I'm bored in the basement. I don't have Netflix. I have a question. Where's my... and I don't have that emoji. I don't know where that is. Why can 4-dimensional beings hurt you guys if you are like way more powerful or something like that? I think you meant 3-dimensional, and we are 4-dimensional, and 3-dimensional, like, they can hurt us, but not to the extent. It's like if an ant bite you, it hurts. You're not gonna die. How does time work in your story? It doesn't. On a scale of A to E, how would you rank Volt? 1. What kind of being is Omniscia? We know as a species and a handful of others, but I don't believe we know what she is. Is she a singular entity, or is she part of a larger species? Yeah, she's the same species as Az. She's an Ouroboros. They don't always have to have one big eye for a head, it's just a very common form to take. Who was the god Az killed? And if that's a plot spoiler, what's your favorite gadget you designed for Volt's hair multi-tool thing? Az has probably killed a few gods. You know, really, God is just calling yourself a god in this universe. And for the second thing, I don't know, I really like her hair railgun. I think that's very iconic, her little thing. I also like her mech suit. Is it canon that the planet hit the second homunculus? Is that a 9/11 joke? Is Omni your sugar mommy? Not anymore because I have my own stocks, so I'm real smart. Is the video where Az dances on Omniscia's hand canon? I mean, like, she would probably get him to do some shit like that for her just because she likes, you know, that she likes to make people do things. I don't know. What's Az's sexuality? Also, who is your favorite character? Where do you live? I don't live. Az will probably fuck just about anything, but he definitely has a preference for feminine shapes. Who's your favorite character? I don't know. That's hard. I don't have a favorite character. Do you play poker with any of the SCPs, Trevor Henderson or Leo Vincible entities? If so, who's the worst sore loser out of any of them? Cartoon Cat is a bitch. He, like, puts it all in the middle of the pot and then starts grabbing at it like a child when he has bad cards. Don't put it in if you're not ready to lose it. Az, how many car batteries should be in a healthy diet? I've been thinking about this. I think no more than 17. Are you planning to do multiple endings for Outsider Trading or a single continuity? I still have not decided on that. I might do this fun thing where I have Omniscia, like, think through all the possibilities and then, like, have you guys choose which one you like the best. I have a bunch of endings kind of ready to go. I just don't know which one would be the best for this, and I want to, like, let the characters breathe and live before I decide how to kill them all. I'm not gonna kill them all, probably. Okay, for Ouroboros on their larval state, like amoeba, can they do any shapeshift in the sex ed video? It takes about the shapeshifting, gland end, and how Ouroboros get them later in life, but then how do you live without it? Seems like it's very important to the species, and why did you not consume amoeba? It seemed like you did have them on purpose. They can shapeshift. They do have a shifter organ from birth. It's just kind of small and it's kind of weak. And I did not consume amoeba for various reasons you will learn later in the series, and amoeba did not consume me for various reasons you will learn later in the series. I'd like to be at a big reveal, and I'll tell you now. Is there a specific place to find the Azfkqna comics, or are they just videos? Yeah, you can get them on Amazon, self-publish. They're all on KDP, and there's a link. I'll put one in this video. I got one. What was Az's first reaction when he saw amoeba for the first time? Fear. Can Ouroboros human hybrids exist? Yes. Do all Ouroboros have different abilities? The only really unique one we know right now is Omniscia, with the all-knowing thing. So is that just her extra special, or do all Ouroboros get special stuff? Is it like an age thing? So Ouroboros have abilities just inherently. They have bioshifting. Every Ouroboros can bioshift, but it's a skill you have to work at, and some people are naturally more gifted with it than others. So the omnipotence thing, or omniscience thing, is actually bioshifting in another form. Time dilation bioshifting. A lot of these Ouroboros have their own unique abilities that are going to be explored a little bit more throughout. Az is really into the flesh. So you've seen him make his own special creatures like Watchers and like that big pig thing. He is very good at working with raw materials. That's kind of Az's bioshifting forte. But there are many other forms of it that don't solely follow that roadmap of what it is. What's heavier, a kilogram of steel or a kilogram of feathers? Well, obviously, kilograms are heavier than kilograms, so it's a kilogram. How many fourth dimensional STDs does Az character have? I bet Google. Close to infinity. Where do Ouroboros originate from? They don't even know. Have you and Omniscia known each other since you were teenagers, or did you meet her in your 20s? I met Omniscia while I was working for Graves, and then he kind of pawned me off on his, at the time, now ex-wife, is like an errand boy, and I guess she kind of just like kept me like a pet or some shit. I feel like there was a scene missing from the last episode. Why did Volt think Az's human's disguise died a week ago, and when did Az see him so he could make that copy? Yeah, the guy who died a year ago has been dead. The reason that it freaked Volt out is because he's been dead, so how is he next to Az? You're exactly right to question that. What Volt realized in that moment was that, holy shit, guy's been dead for a year, and yet he's still walking around. There is some body-snatching entity amongst my colleagues. So, you know, Az didn't know that guy. Az never personally knew him, never knew anything was wrong because he didn't know he was dead, but Volt did, so Volt knew something was wrong. What do you have to say to all the people that said Omniscia is your dommy mommy? And have you been paying Amoeba's child care? I mean, I take care of him. I don't need to pay the child care. I just need to give him nuggets and cocaine. And, I got lots of dommy mommies, man. What do you want from me? I'm living my life. Does Az like chocolate? Yeah. What would happen if Volt took spaghettamine? Would she become spaghetti? I think she'd probably just die. Hey, Az, what would happen if Graves goes after Volt? I would hit him with a shovel. What is your gay percentage? Me or Az? I feel like Az is hanging like solid 15 or 10. I'm not gay, no shade. But like if he saw like an especially thick ass and then realized it was a guy, I think, you know, Az is just Az, man. Is Az a gooner? If so, how much times? Az is definitely a gooner, and it is all of the times. What's the limit to bioshifting? Is it the level of becoming a fifth dimensional god, or to get to the nearest beer? I mean, the limit of it? For him, he's lazy. Probably the nearest beer. Fuck, I want a beer. Is spaghettamine made out of noodles, and what's the sauce? Also, what are the intended effects if you don't dilute it with the special ingredients? Spaghettamine is basically a fun play on ketamine, like the name, or methamphetamine, or, you know, pretty much any een. You know, it's not meant to be a specific een, it's just supposed to be like a fun placeholder drug that the fourth dimensional inhabitants do. And originally, I was inspired by when Elon did all that ketamine and fought with teenagers on Twitter for no reason. And I was like, man, that's such a fucking funny thing to do when you have literally trillions of dollars, you could be fucking models, and you're fighting with teenagers on Twitter. I gotta make Graves do that. And I thought spaghettamine was funny, so I just kept doing it. The intended effects, I would say that, I mean, based on how I've shown it in the series, it's like probably like hallucinogenic it's like meth and ketamine if you mixed them up. That's what I would imagine. Hallucinogenic meth. What makes the Wendigo a fourth dimensional being? As a 4D being, does the Wendigo have 4D rights? I feel like it being a 4D being is inspired from the TV series Lost Tapes, where it's mentioned that Wendigos can time travel to hunt their prey. So the Wendigo was always 4D. Wendigo doesn't know what 4D means. Wendigo just knows it's a Wendigo. Volt didn't know it was 4D, and Az certainly didn't know it was 4D until it hurt him and he brought it to the bank and he learned he couldn't turn it in. If they really cared about the people in this system, yeah, it would have rights, but they don't. So it's not recognized because it's not 4D species that occurs in the overworld. So it's just basically, it doesn't fall within one of the neatly checked boxes. So they just ignore it. Also for Az, Amoeba, Omniscia, Earl, and Ouroboros in general, if we're seeing their finger puppets, then how does their true form get absorbed by another Ouroboros? Is it like their mass over volume of space-time so one of greater force or volume can absorb the other? Pretty much, yes, exactly. And it doesn't always need to be greater force or mass. Like you can get it sneaky. You know, the smaller one can win if it just has some time or has a good strategy too. So you can absorb a pocket dimension. You know, that's probably what they're going for too. Like they don't just want the surface, they want everything. What happened to Az's parents/parents? Spoiler, Does Az really like Volt, and does Volt really like Az at all? Yes, they have a complicated and confusing relationship that both of them refuse to fully understand. What exactly is your biology? It's obvious you have some sort of vaguely human anatomy, since you require food, and substances affect you the same way. But at the same time, your entire head is what appears to be a single eye, and you can bioshift into anything you want. So I'm just wondering, how the hell do you function? Big eye, spine worm, lot of goop. Would you guys rather party with Rick Sanchez or Hunter S. Thompson? Man, could I pull an Abradolf Linkler and fuse those two? That would be fucking sick. Probably end up dead. I mean, probably Rick, because if I party with Hunter, he would die again, and then I would get sad, but I would want to see what happens if he took spaghettamine, but, you know, that probably wouldn't be good for a regular human. I bet Rick could handle it. So which came first, the tail-eating serpent or the giant snake eyes? What other mythologies are mixed into this? I mean, I guess they kind of came at the same time. Real chicken or egg right there, huh? Lots of other mythologies. I was really inspired by Greek mythology and how it was basically just like Class of '09, but with the gods, like this one cheated on this one and fucked this one and this one and the drama. So I wanted to play it like that. I wanted to make Greek gods for the financial system and the strange ways it interacts with our social life and society and like all the other aspects of it. And I felt like these forces were very powerful in the modern life, and we did not have like personas behind them, and we used to have personas behind the sea and like the trees and all that shit. There was no economy persona, and I was like, you know who could perfectly represent inflation and hollowing something out? Early Graves. So yeah, I wanted to make, I guess, my own little mythology based on the many mythologies of the past. Why is Early Graves the coolest, most awesomest, and richest person ever? I mean, he says because of his massive penis. Do any of them have confirmed sexualities? Yeah, Az likes girls. It can be any species, any kind, anywhere, anyhow, but he likes girls. He would probably fuck a guy if it had a nice enough butt, but he would need to be really drunk first, I think. Volt likes to fuck monsters and is attracted to power. She doesn't really give a shit what you got in your pants. Graves, also just attracted to power, but he likes to be the one in power. Loves to be worshipped. Doesn't matter who or why. Amoeba is a kid, he doesn't think about that shit. And Omniscia just likes to torture people and tease them. Most Ouroboros are relatively fluid because, you know, they can make or break whatever they need. What can we do about the collapsing human population, Az? I thought you'd have interest in it considering you own the race like a stock, bro. Have more babies. What does your skin taste like? Have you ever smoked DMT? Kind of like that. Since there are naturally occurring 4D beings on Earth, does that mean that 4D and 3D beings can interbreed? Yes. Hey Az, what god did you kill? Quite a few. How far ahead do you plan the series? You seem to have plans for the societal implications of the Wendigo, but other stuff seems pretty loose. Is the story planned episode by episode with a general idea, or do you have a long-term plan? So we have a point A for the series, and then we have a point B. The point B is a little superfluous in that I know a few things that I definitely want to happen, and a few arcs that I definitely want to end in certain ways. However, there are many ways that these characters could play out and end in satisfying scenarios. What I'm doing is I'm making episodes leading them more towards the characters they will be in the end, also setting up those arcs as the episodes go, and then from there I feel as though I will be able to more accurately gauge which one of these endings that I have that I really want. Is eyeball? Yeah. What other species are in circulation right now? Like besides the crab people and humans. Oh, and the cock gremlins. Them as well. We got the green guys that are basically little green aliens, and the little gray aliens like to buy them because, you know, it's like a little bit for them. They love that. That's their main thing. I got an idea for this one that's just like a big foot people. Like they hop on one big foot. Yeah. I mean, there's as many as you can think of. I got one where it's just a whole planet of Jar Jar Binks. Remember when people said he was racist? What was that about? Have you checked out Codex Seraphinius? I've looked at it briefly, but I have not made a video on it. What's Az's favorite substance and what does it do? We know amoebas. I mean, he likes everything. You know, Az's favorite substance is flesh, man. He's a sex addict through and through. Everything else is just to fill a hole. Aha! I didn't mean it like that. That was kind of funny. Are you going to include more people in your outsider trading scheme? Do you mean my show or do you mean the internal scheme in the show? I mean, I guess both, yes. Are Ouroboros stronger than family? I don't know what you mean by that. Conceptually, I guess which family? Am I kicking a mother of two in the head, or am I going up against Nolan Grayson? Like, which family? What's Azfkqna's favorite food from Earth? Hamburgers. They have the same in his place. Los Arkham, so he likes them. What happens if you consume mysterious meat that you found on the side of the road? I guess it would depend on what was in that meat, did you cook it, and how fresh was it? What happened to the live stream Q&A you did a couple months ago? I don't have live stream storage, so unfortunately, probably banished to the void. There's another video Q&A somewhere on here. If you look up Azfkqna Q&A, you'll probably find it. How would a fight between Az and Graves go down? Would Az's better bioshifting help them, or are there bigger factors at play? Let's say we had Mike Tyson versus a high school boxer, and they're both at their prime. But the high school boxer has a lot more money and hires a militia. That is the situation in which Az and Graves find each other in. Like, one-on-one fist fight, Az is turning Graves into fucking goo. But if he's really with all of his resources, it's a much bigger if, you know? Is Az the only one who uses his body like a finger puppet, or are there others? Like, does Graves have a godlike body controlling his body that's basically a finger puppet, if that makes sense? Referencing the Wendigo fight. Every Ouroboros has the body like a finger puppet. Not every Ouroboros has as much of a developed pocket dimension as Az. It's kind of like biological differences in humans. Some people are bigger, stronger, or faster than others, you know, and some people lift weights to become bigger, faster, or stronger than others, right? Everybody's got one, but not everyone has the same one, and not everyone has the same abilities in their one. Volt X Omniscia Rule 34 Comic When. I'm waiting on you guys, man. I pay for the regular cartoons, then you draw the porn. This was the agreement. Can we get some more action between Az and Volt, please? Coming up next episode. Does Omniscia know the viewers simp over her because she's omniscient? Boy, does she know, and going with the character, I think she would love it. She'd use it like a siren song to lure you all to your doom. Would it be possible for Volt to see Az's world? We actually have, like, a concept for an episode based on that, where, I don't know if y'all ever see Baby Driver. I don't know if this is ever gonna get made, but I have this sequence in my head where Volt looks at the 4D world, it's completely nonsensical, and she has to wear Az's head, like, goggles to be able to see, and it's basically a Baby Driver parody, but it's gonna cost a lot of money, and it's, like, way further up in the series. I have no idea if anybody asked this, but how long do you plan on making Outsider Trading, if that was even decided yet? I want to go through the full story that I have in mind. I would say probably at least 10 hours of content, though, like, because we are not very far in, and it's already an hour and a half plus. Mr. Fuck, if you can be literally anything, why an eyeball man? It helps me to see real good. Az, how long did you work for the handsome genius and overall outstanding guy like Earl E. Graves? Also, how long have you been evading the tax man? I worked for Graves for like the equivalent of billions of your human years. Probably eons. But for me, it was probably like, I don't know, a couple of years. And I've been evading the taxman since I was born. If pi is endless and unrepeating, how far until pi has your birthday perfectly in its sequence? Dude, I can't do math. What kind of slurs do Ouroboros have? I don't know why, but I feel like crusty would be one of them. Like they got eye boogers. What is the official name? You know what? We're making the slur right now. Eye booger medical term is called rheum. What the fuck? R-H-E-U-M. Rheum. Rheum. How do you say that?
Room.
Yeah, all right, that's a slur. That's a slur now. That's a slur. Room. What's your favorite color? I like green. I like purple. Those are probably my two favorites. Has Amoeba gotten laid yet? No, he is a child. Oi, Az, is Jesus fourth dimensional? I mean, there's probably a guy named Jesus up there. I mean, what you're asking seriously is, probably not in headcanon. No, he was just a guy. Az did some interesting things there, though. I mean, he wasn't just a guy when Az was done. How did 4D beings create a system that makes 3D beings assets? All right, so they got some lawyers, and then they got some people who were already really powerful, and then everybody else, I guess, just wasn't paying attention. Are all 4D beings Borealis? And if so, how did they come together to create society without the whole cannibalism tendencies? So not all 4D beings are Ouroboros. They are actually probably one of the rarer species, although they're not super rare. They don't just go around like eating people. They do consume each other, but they do it for many biological and I guess economic reasons. They don't just go around eating each other, but they do eat each other fairly routinely. Last time you told me that we were the ones to invent meth. Now, maybe we can make something together. Okay. Are there 3.5 dimensional beings? Yeah, the whole line between 3D and 4D is not actually a line. It's much more of a spectrum, but the economic people in charge do not like that. What exactly were Volt's gay college thoughts? I mean, dude, she kept seeing those fucking posts of that thick moth woman, and then she, went to hunt some cryptids, had some thoughts about some cryptids with some tits, She didn't really recover. Hey, Az, is Bolt going to be you girlfriend? If she is, who is her voice actor? And is she your GFIRL? No, we're buddies in real life. We worked in the animation industry a little bit together. Volt is gonna have her own little arc. I don't know exactly where it's gonna end up. But yeah, no, in real life, she's a real good buddy. You guys should all go give her voice acting work. What became of the man surrounded by the purple algae? The guy who got glooped on by it is fine. He was just a little slimy. Hey, Az, I love your vids and seen it a long time ago on a different account. I just wonder, are high and drunk while you made Outsider Trading? I mean, for some of it, yeah. But you know what they say, write drunk, edit sober, and then record drunk, and then record some of the line pickups sober. Do Ouroboros have a particular form that's theirs, or is whatever they bioshift into their natural state? They usually have a standard form, but they don't have to stick to it. How tall is the main cast? I would say Graves is the tallest at about 6 foot. I'm around like 5'10". Volt and Amoeba are like average woman height. I would say 5'6". And I have never met Omniscia in real life. Why is Amoeba obsessed with cocaine? Did Az introduce them to it, or was it just a natural craving? Az definitely introduced him to it. 3 questions. For Az. 1. How did you and Amoeba bond after you found him at the bender? How do you know he was yours? That's a spoiler. 2. Gun to your head metaphorically. Volt or Omniscia? You have to choose one. Who and why? Probably Volt. There's less of a risk of my death. Which of the best Outsider Trading characters do you think best represent each of the 7 deadly sins? You can only use 1 sin for each character. Graves, definitely greed. Az is definitely lust. I would say Omniscia would be pride. I would say Amoeba or Az could be gluttony. Volt's definitely wrath. Az is sloth. I don't know what qualifications you put. Is Ouroboros hair actual hair, or just another part of their bioshifting? So, hair can be a part of, like, you can bioshift hair. Hair's biologically natural. Like, it's not, like, you can make hair. Az's hair, whenever he has hair, is typically tendrils. Like, Rhea's hair, the cat girl from the comic, like, she's got hair. Like, she's got hair on her tail, she's got hair in her little ear, she's got hair on her head. That's hair. You know, Omniscia's hair is flesh flaps. Weird little, like, flowery flesh flaps. So it's, you know, sometimes it is hair, sometimes it isn't. How does radiation affect 4th dimensional creatures? And also, I forgot the name of your species, Az, but does the 4th dimension for you count as time, or just adding another thing on top of X, Y, and Z axis? So, radiation doesn't really affect us all that much. There is an equivalent force that does, but your radiation is kind of just like, you know, hot dog shit comparably. And the 4th dimension does not count directly as time, but it's also not as simple as adding another axis onto the X, Y, and Z. A little bit more complicated, but it is more towards the spatial understanding of it. And we like to keep a lot of it loose so we can play with it in a fun way. Can Ouroboros, or however the fuck you spell it, feel love? If they're more cosmically vast than humans could ever be, do they understand why humans love? Or is love just a human thing? Or worse, a stupid thing humans do because they're dumb apes. So this is actually going to be a really important part of the series. It's like how Az determines what it means to be human and what it means to be a person, and like, they definitely can. 100%. It's just not set up in their society, and it's not really set up in their biology inherently. They can, it's just not nearly as common. Like, not every Ouroboros spends their life looking for love like a lot of humans do. Like, they don't care. If it happens, they will pursue it and they will feel it, but they're not, like, looking for a partner. How many bars have you been to, and how much money have you lost to them? Too many and too much. How old exactly is Amoeba? Is he a really young kid? Older kid? Does Amoeba have another parent, or is he just Az's kid via mitosis? I noticed that Az is purple and white, whereas Amoeba is red and blue, which looks genetically different. So did the colors separate when Az made Amoeba, and how old was Az when he had Amoeba? Human years aren't gonna work in this. I would say, like, if you want to do a comparative human year, he's probably in like 3rd grade or something, like 5th grade, something like that. You know, he's not quite 12 yet, but he's mature enough to make jokes that he shouldn't be. Amoeba does not have another parent. He does have another Ouroboros that was partially responsible for the spawning, but it was not sexual reproduction, asexual. So Az is purple and white, but what colors make purple when combined? How old was Az when he had Amoeba? I mean, like, again, human years don't really translate very well, but a young 20s. Because Ouroboros reproduce when in danger, does that mean that their body could misread a situation and reproduce from being jump scared, or alternatively, having some kinky BDSM? Yes. They could. However, again, like, they're gonna consume each other, you know? If the spawn does not consume the progenitor, there's a decent chance the progenitor will try to consume the spawn. Will we be seeing more of the swamp frog girl? Az maybe helped her escape, and I figure she may pop up again at some point. Ugh, Az is kind of a dick, man. I don't know if he helped her escape. I tempted to ask where's my money, but I won't. I'm not giving it to you. The 2-headed Ouroboros on Graves' news. Are they an Ouroboros couple that when one ate the other, they somehow both remained alive and distinct personalities sharing a body? So we do actually briefly talk about this in in the consumption thing, they fused. So they are an instance of fusion in which they kind of combine into one being. Where's the maid outfit as? Man, anybody can draw it. I don't care. I'm just not gonna fucking commission it. If Ouroboros can change forms to be whatever they want, why have all the ones we've seen chosen to look like eyeball people? Just curious. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, why do most people have the same haircuts? It just is the way hair grows, you know? It is usually the standard for how the external part of a shifter organ looks, and if they don't see any reason to change it, usually they just change the things around it. Again, it's not the only form they have. Omniscia looks quite different, and we're going to be introduced to things that look very different than our Ouroboros later. Eyeball just seems to be the most popular. Since the reproductive method of Ouroboros is a diminishing method for the majority, how many of them are there, and how is there a starting larger population? Not every reproduction results in consumption. People don't actually know how long Ouroboros have been around or what their starting population was. Even today, it's really not well understood how many Ouroboros there are. And they are genetically immortal and quite powerful, so they typically don't die unless it's at the hands of another Ouroboros. It's not like they're constantly reproducing and dying like a regular species. It's more that, like, they never die, so they never need to reproduce. And because reproduction is so dangerous, they just don't. Question, were you just amoeba involved with the Titanic? And if you were, is Volt ever going to question you about the global disasters you may or may not have caused or be aware of? Alright guys, so this is my bad. Omniscia told me about the Titanic, and I was trying to get you guys to burn fossil fuels like way earlier so the iceberg wouldn't be a problem, but I got kind of drunk and then the Titanic happened, and then at some point after I got you guys to burn fossil fuels because I got confused. Yeah. Are you planning to get Amoeba a sibling? I wasn't planning to get Amoeba. Are you Amoeba's mom or dad, genetically speaking? Yes. What video are you most proud of? Probably the Outsider Trading Inside Edition. It really shows it all together. I like it. Does it jiggle when you walk up the stairs, Az? You talking about my cock? Yes. Do you have plans to rename As of Yet Unnamed in the Canon Currency to something else? As of Yet Unnamed in the Canon Currency is a bit of a mouthful. Rolls off the tongue like organ, though. Kind of like the idea of never naming it and just dancing around it. I find that really fun. Where can I find your mugshots? All mugshots are publicly available. Why? I don't know. Where were you and what were you doing in 1999 with Jay Schlatt? You don't want to know. Can I buy some spaghettamine? Also give Amoeba some food? You can do whatever you want, I don't know. Does Az have a gender as a bioshifter? He can change at will and has been stated to take on female forms, and he's Shao a male form, so then he can't be gay? I don't know what this question is asking, but... No? Were you and Amoeba responsible for a certain Austrian painter with a Charlie Chaplin mustache as action, or was that circumstance? Dude, that would not benefit me in the slightest. Like, morals aside, like, why would I like someone destroying my shit? Has Az ever thought about the fact that cashing in an asset species would make that money taxable? If so, has he thought about the risks of being audited? Now, he doesn't really think. How's the gecko doing? He's doing pretty good. His name's Orange Juice. His name's not O.J. Simpson. I wouldn't name an animal that. If you were immortal, what's the first dangerous thing you would do? I would do an overdose amount of drugs to feel like what it feels like without dying. What was your main inspirations when you started Azfkqna's story? Do you have a favorite part of the story so far / that's yet to come? I'm excited to see Az and Volt bond a little bit more as people, because I think that once they kind of drop the whole veneer of their versus each other, they're going to have a much more interesting interaction. I love seeing them fight. I will say there is a part that I have been looking forward, or I guess dreading, putting out that would change the context of how you see Azfkqna fairly significantly. My main inspirations, I have lived a crazy fucking life. That and all the cartoons I'm watching, like classic Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, and then a lot of Gravity Falls, what Glitch is putting out, a lot of Has-Been, a lot of Smiling Friends. That girl in the Dealer Days video, how'd she pay? No, she gave money. She didn't want my disgusting tendril. Do y'all usually have a sort of restaurant rush where you try to eat / do as much as possible? Can be while on the stuff. If y'all do, what's the usual order of events that occur? I will eat as many chicken nuggets as I possibly can, and then vomit them all back into the soda cup from which I have just finished my Diet Coke. Now that we know Az can bioshift into a human, would Az be the kind of guy to serve drinks to women in bars to hopefully get laid by a human, just to see what it's like? Yeah, he spent probably hundreds of years doing just that. Last Q&A I asked if you were my father, and you said no, so here's some follow-ups. What were you doing in 1942? Probably masturbating. What is your opinion on mayonnaise? Good. What do you do with mayonnaise? Probably masturbating. What are your thoughts on the smashability of mayonnaise? I already answered that. Is Volt's hair all machines that look like hair, or is it nanobots that take the shape of hair and can't transform at will? So she has like a little stubbly patch on her head, but other than that, it's a combination of machinery and nanobots. If there was hypothetically someone who was the exact opposite of Graves in personality, how long would it take for him to totally not kill them? Because Graves is definitely a trustworthy guy who you should hand over all your personal information and mortal possessions to. I think you answered your question, probably immediately though. Do Ouroboros become the full snake when fully grown? Is that why Graves has a serpentine lower body? If so, why do they start and carry an eye head? No, that's just the name. That's more indicative of their nature rather than like the shape. Can I be in the video? Yeah. As were you, Rasputin? Yeah. Are the third and fourth dimension really that different from each other in your setting? No, it's just something that the economy people tell you about. What are your favorite and least favorite Smash or Pass videos, comments you've done? I mean, like, when towards the end of the Smash or Pass series, I was just like, why am I still making this? Because I wasn't having fun. Now I just make them whenever it is fun. I like the comments that don't understand that it's a parody, and I'm like making fun of sexuality in the internet era. I love the comments that genuinely think that I'm like jerking it to all of these. Those are always the funniest. Least favorite is probably, 8-year-olds calling me slurs. We understand that the reproductive system of the Ouroboros is separate from a human's. That's still big of the question. If by some means the seed somehow be planted in a human womb, how would that happen? What would happen? Would be dangerous for the human? Would it birth some form of hybrid, or just one of the two species? We all know Azfkqna is going to be canon at some point, so these are fair questions to ask. Yeah, it can happen. It can happen, and it probably wouldn't be all that dangerous for the human depending on the Ouroboros that it was. Az could make a sperm, that's just bioshifting. Let's just put it this way, if a human got pregnant via an Ouroboros, it would not be by accident. Like, they would be doing something weird. They would be intentionally doing something real weird. What's Az's opinion on handing over all mortal possessions and legal information to me? Please and thank you, I'm totally not Graves in disguise. No. Have you ever eaten a durian? No. If Amoeba had 20 guns and apples are shaped like Texans, how many dollars would it take to hold up pie? My anus. Hey Az, I watched your recent video talking about reproduction, and it got me thinking, is it possible for two Ouroboros to have a deep romantic connection? You said Ouroboros normally get together in arranged marriages or if it's very toxic. I'm curious to know if it's possible for a couple to actually romantically like each other. Also, I really love Graves, he's very handsome. It's not as much arranged marriages, it's more they eat each other like spiders. There are instances where they have romantic connection. It is a lot rarer, and like we mentioned earlier in the Q&A, like they don't go around looking for it like humans do. There is no innate drive towards it, but it is possible. Do you be flinging they poop? Yeah, buddy. Where do we submit fan art? I got an email, azfkcomedy@gmail.com. You can do it there. Can submit fan art to me on Twitter. Tag me on Twitter. You can tag me on Instagram, wherever you want. Do your characters possibly have references of some kind you'd be cool with releasing to the public for Fanimations? Yes. Have to get around to releasing them, but anybody can make any sort of Fanimation. I'm not a dick about it. I love seeing stuff that y'all make, so please go for whatever you want to make. Do you plan on releasing more comics? Yes, Omniscia's getting her own comic very soon. Orange, no purple. Is Omniscia a female Ouroboros? If so, is her probability perception a common trait or just hers? I wouldn't say it's just hers, but I wouldn't say it's very, very common, and I would say she is quite well known for being the best at it. How many times does one have to biomass to lose their sense of self? Ouroboros don't lose sense of self when bioshifting. Bioshifting is kind of what they are, you know? How? Man, I don't know. What was the most embarrassing way that Volt died that you had to revive her? I mean, that time on the toilet was pretty bad. You never want to pull an Elvis. How would one become a member of the BAC? And can we get more details about the ranking of authority behind the organization? You can just apply. They'll take random people off the street, but chances are that you'll get put into a fodder guard position, which is not the best to be in, because you're basically just human cannon fodder. Volt would be more of a high-up agent, but she still has to deal with a lot of bureaucratic nightmare bullshit that comes from the higher up. And there has been a deleted scene that showed a little bit more of the organization, where she had a director that did not let her do anything. If shapeshifting is your power, what are you without it? I mean, I'm kind of just a fat guy. Is all parts of food used by the Ouroboros body, as they seemingly don't defecate? Yeah, they don't have any sort of system of waste. There's no need to get rid of everything. They use every aspect of biomass, like lossless. Would you ever let Amoeba have a pet? He does whatever he wants, man. Loving the show. New episodes have been fun for me. Thinking of making a compilation of season 1 if you ever make a full season. So we actually have an hour-and-a-half movie. Yeah, we have an hour-and-a-half movie presentation of it, which shows all the parts that are out except for a couple that have come out recently. Check it out. How do you brush your teeth or get clean? Does it hurt? Or do you have something like slime? Yeah. Why do you steal my drugs? Why do you leave your drugs out? Do you know what the empty abyss in my ceiling means by "you are hopeless"? Your ceiling's being mean to you. I suggest you get different ceilings in your life and start to cut out the toxic ceilings. Well, I think I've answered over 200 questions and I've been here for well over, like, hours. So I think we're done. Make sure to check out my Twitch page because I stream now. Thank you to the members of the Inner Circle and the Patreon. I always greatly appreciate it.